Somewhere in the darkest blue depths of the ocean, a sound echoes that few humans have ever truly understood. Not a roar, not a call, but a pulse. A slow, powerful, almost impossible pulse. For decades, scientists believed they understood the limits of life on Earth. How fast a heart can beat, how slow it can go, and how large it can grow. But recently, something changed. Because deep inside the largest animal to ever exist, something was discovered that challenges everything we thought we knew about biology itself. This is the story of the blue whale's heart, and the mystery beating inside it. The blue whale, the largest animal in Earth's history, stretches longer than a basketball court and weighs as much as 30 elephants combined. Its presence reshapes the ocean around it. When it moves, entire ecosystems respond. When it dives, it disappears into a world that remains largely unexplored. But for all its size, power, and dominance, the most extraordinary part of this animal is hidden deep within its chest. A heart so massive, it defies imagination. Roughly the size of a small car. Weighing over 180 kilograms. Its arteries are so wide that a human could theoretically crawl through them. But size alone is not what fascinates scientists. It's what this heart does that makes it one of the strangest biological systems ever discovered. To understand the mystery, we must first understand the challenge. Every living organism depends on its heart to circulate oxygen and nutrients. But scaling this system to the size of a blue whale creates a problem no other animal faces. Distance. From the whale's heart to the tip of its tail can be over 25 meters. Blood must travel this entire length efficiently, without losing pressure, without collapsing under its own weight, and without exhausting the animal's energy. In smaller animals, this is simple. In a creature the size of a blue whale, it should be impossible. And yet, the blue whale thrives. For years, scientists could only speculate how such a massive circulatory system functioned. Direct observation was nearly impossible. You cannot place traditional monitoring equipment on an animal that spends most of its life diving hundreds of meters below the surface. And even if you could, the scale of the data would be unprecedented. But recently, a breakthrough changed everything. Researchers developed specialized suction cup sensors, small, non-invasive devices capable of attaching to a whale's body and recording its internal activity. Heart rate, movement, dive patterns. For the first time, scientists could listen to the heartbeat of a blue whale in its natural environment. And what they found was astonishing. At the surface, when the whale breathes and prepares to dive, its heart beats at around 25 to 35 beats per minute. Slow, but expected for such a large animal. But as the whale begins its descent into the depths, something extraordinary happens. The heartbeat slows, and slows, and slows, until it reaches a rate so low, it barely seems possible for life to continue. 2 beats per minute. Sometimes even less. 2 beats per minute. To put this into perspective, a human heart beats around 60 to 100 times per minute at rest. Even elite athletes rarely drop below 40. But the blue whale can reduce its heart rate to levels that would be fatal for almost any other mammal. And yet, it remains perfectly functional, perfectly controlled, perfectly alive. This extreme slowing of the heart, known as bradycardia, is not simply a passive response. It is a finely tuned survival mechanism. When the whale dives, it holds its breath for up to 20 minutes. During this time, oxygen becomes a limited resource. Every system in the body must adapt. The heart slows to conserve oxygen. Blood is redirected away from less critical areas and prioritized toward vital organs like the brain and heart itself. Muscles switch to alternative metabolic pathways. The entire body enters a state of controlled energy conservation. But what shocked scientists was just how extreme this adaptation truly is. At such low heart rates, the intervals between beats become incredibly long. Seconds stretch into what feels like silence. Each contraction must be powerful enough to push blood through an enormous vascular network. Each beat must count. There is no room for error. And yet, the system operates with remarkable precision. Almost like a machine, designed to operate at the edge of possibility. But the mystery doesn't end there, because as the whale returns to the surface, everything changes again. The heart accelerates, rapidly, explosively, from just a few beats per minute to as high as 30 or even 40 beats per minute within seconds. A dramatic shift, unlike anything observed in other large mammals. This sudden increase is necessary. As the whale surfaces, it takes massive breaths, replenishing oxygen levels in its blood. The heart must respond immediately, distributing this oxygen throughout the body as quickly as possible. The transition is so rapid that scientists initially struggled to believe the data. How can a heart operate across such an extreme range? How can it slow to near stillness and then surge back to life with such speed and force? This question has led researchers into a deeper investigation, not just of the blue whale, but of the fundamental limits of mammalian biology. One theory suggests that the blue whale's heart is operating at the very edge of what is physically possible. The maximum rate at which blood can be pumped may already be reached during these surface intervals. In other words, the blue whale may be pushing the absolute limits of heart function. Any faster, and the system could fail. Any slower, and oxygen delivery might not be sufficient. It is a delicate balance, a biological tightrope, stretched across the vastness of the ocean. But there is another layer to this mystery: the structure of the whale's heart itself. Unlike smaller mammals, the blue whale's heart must generate immense force to move blood across its gigantic body. Its walls are thick, its chambers enormous. Its valves must withstand pressures that are both powerful and sustained. And yet, it must remain efficient. Energy conservation is critical. Every beat must deliver maximum output with minimal waste. It is not just a large heart. It is an optimized heart, a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering. Comparisons with other animals reveal just how unusual this system is. Elephants, for example, also have large bodies and relatively slow heart rates. But even they cannot approach the extreme bradycardia of a diving blue whale. Smaller marine mammals, like seals, also slow their heart rates during dives. But again, not to this degree. The blue whale stands alone, an outlier, a biological anomaly that pushes the boundaries of known physiology. And this raises a deeper question. Why did evolution take this path? Why develop such an extreme system? The answer may lie in the whale's lifestyle. Blue whales are filter feeders. They consume vast quantities of tiny krill, requiring them to dive repeatedly into dense feeding zones. Each dive is a calculated effort, a balance between energy expenditure and energy gain. The more efficiently they can manage oxygen, the longer they can stay submerged, the more food they can consume. Over millions of years, natural selection has fine-tuned this system. Not for speed, not for aggression, but for endurance, for efficiency, for survival in a world where food exists in concentrated, fleeting patches. But even with all we have learned, there are still unanswered questions. Because recent data suggests something even more unusual. At the lowest heart rates, the intervals between beats become so long that the rhythm itself begins to change. It is no longer a steady, predictable pattern. Instead, it becomes irregular, almost hesitant, as if the heart is carefully timing each contraction based on oxygen levels, pressure, and the whale's movement. This kind of variability is rare in mammals. In humans, irregular heart rhythms can be dangerous, even fatal. But in the blue whale, it may be a feature, not a flaw. Could it be that the whale's heart is not just slowing down, but actively modulating its rhythm in response to its environment? A dynamic system, constantly adjusting to maintain balance? If so, this would represent a level of physiological control far beyond what we see in most animals. And this brings us to one of the most intriguing mysteries of all. What are the true limits of the blue whale's heart? Have we already observed them? Or are there conditions, deeper, darker, more extreme, where the heart behaves in ways we have yet to discover? Because the ocean still holds secrets, and the blue whale may be carrying one of the most extraordinary of them all. A living system that operates at the edge of life's possibilities. a heart that defies expectations, and a mystery that has only just begun to reveal itself. There is a moment, deep beneath the ocean's surface, where time itself seems to stretch. Light fades, pressure builds, sound becomes distant, and inside the blue whale, the heart waits. Not racing, not even steady, but pausing, calculating, conserving. Each beat, separated by long, silent intervals, as if the animal is holding on to life, one pulse at a time. For scientists, this raises a question that feels almost unsettling. At what point does a heartbeat become too slow to sustain life? In most mammals, there is a clear threshold. Drop below it, and organs begin to fail. The brain starves of oxygen. The system collapses. But the blue whale does not follow these rules. Instead, it rewrites them. Recent research suggests that during deep dives, the blue whale's body enters a state that borders on suspended animation. Metabolism slows dramatically. Oxygen consumption drops. Non-essential systems are temporarily downregulated. Even blood flow becomes highly selective, restricted to only the most vital regions. The brain, the heart, and key muscles required for controlled movement. Everything else, this is not sleep. It is not rest. It is a controlled shutdown of biological demand. A strategy that allows the whale to stretch its oxygen reserves far beyond what would normally be possible. But maintaining this state requires something extraordinary. Precision. Because if the heart slows too much, circulation could fail. And if it beats too fast, oxygen will be depleted too quickly. The margin for error is razor thin. To understand how the blue whale survives this balancing act, scientists have begun looking beyond simple heart rate. They are now studying how blood itself behaves inside the whale's body. Because in an animal of this size, circulation is not just about pumping. It is about managing flow across vast distances under immense pressure. And here, the whale reveals another secret. Its blood is not like ours. It carries higher concentrations of hemoglobin, the molecule responsible for transporting oxygen. This allows each unit of blood to carry more oxygen than in most mammals. But even more importantly, the whale's muscles contain extraordinary amounts of myoglobin, a specialized protein that stores oxygen directly within muscle tissue. In effect, the whale carries its own oxygen reserve embedded within its body. A hidden supply, ready to be used when the heart slows and circulation becomes minimal. This dual system, oxygen-rich blood and oxygen-storing muscles, works in perfect coordination with the heart. When the heart slows, the body does not panic. It adapts, tapping into internal reserves, extending survival beyond what seems possible. But this is only part of the story, because there is another force at work in the deep ocean. Pressure. At depths of several hundred meters, the weight of the water above becomes immense. This pressure compresses the whale's lungs, collapsing air spaces and preventing nitrogen from dissolving into the bloodstream, a mechanism that protects against decompression sickness. But it also changes how blood moves through the body. Vessels constrict, flow patterns shift, and the heart must adjust accordingly, not just in speed, but in strength. Each beat must overcome not only distance, but resistance. And yet, even under these conditions, the whale's circulatory system remains stable, flexible, responsive. It is not a rigid machine. It is a living network, capable of adapting in real time to one of the most extreme environments on Earth. But perhaps the most fascinating discovery lies not in the heart itself, but in the signals that control it. In humans and most mammals, heart rate is regulated by the autonomic nervous system, a balance between signals that speed the heart up and those that slow it down. In the blue whale, this system appears to be pushed to an extreme. The signals that slow the heart, primarily driven by the vagus nerve, seem to dominate during dives, creating profound bradycardia. But what is remarkable is how quickly this control can reverse. Within moments of surfacing, opposing signals surge, accelerating the heart to rapidly distribute oxygen. It is not just a switch. It is a finely tuned dial, capable of moving across an enormous range with precision. Some researchers now believe that the blue whale's nervous system may possess adaptations that allow for this unprecedented control. Enhanced sensitivity, faster signaling, greater coordination between brain, heart, and body. If true, this could represent one of the most advanced examples of physiological regulation in the animal kingdom. And yet, even with these discoveries, the mystery deepens. Because recent recordings have revealed something unexpected. Moments during deep dives where the heart does not follow any predictable pattern. Intervals that vary. Pauses that stretch longer than expected. Subtle fluctuations that suggest the heart is not simply following a preset rhythm, but responding dynamically to conditions inside the body. Oxygen levels, carbon dioxide buildup, pressure changes, muscle activity, all feeding into a system that adjusts beat by beat. This raises a profound possibility that the blue whale's heart is not just a pump, but an intelligent system, one that integrates multiple signals and makes continuous adjustments to maintain balance. A system that operates not on a fixed schedule, but on real-time feedback from the environment within. If this is true, it challenges one of our most basic assumptions about biology, that the heart is merely a mechanical organ. In the blue whale, it may be something more, a responsive engine, tuned to the rhythms of the ocean itself. But beyond the science, there is a larger story, one that connects this massive animal to the entire marine ecosystem. Because every dive the whale makes shapes the world around it. As it feeds on dense swarms of krill, it influences population dynamics across vast regions. As it moves through the water, it transports nutrients between depths, a process known as the whale pump. Even its waste